Welcome to OJ Health Radio. I'm your host, Ollie Matthews, a health coach, functional medicine healthcare provider, nutrition therapist, and elite personal trainer who has worked with clients all over the world, from high-achieving entrepreneurs, busy professionals, and world champion athletes. We're going to dive into the depths of health to find out how you will be able to reach your peak performance and truly become the revitalizer that you deserve to be. Covering topics around all things health, from the mind and body to lifestyle optimization and movement, along with getting elite business experts on to talk through your business health at the same time. We really do have all areas covered to help you succeed once and for all. No excuses necessary. It's time to become a revitalizer. Remember what we always say, your body is your business. And without a sustainable body, you haven't got a sustainable or scalable business. So get strapped in, get ready to take your body, your mindset, relationships, and business to the next level. Hey, welcome to another OJ Health Radio. I have an awesome guest, which if you've been a listener of the show since before I had a break with the podcast, you will know all about Gemma, but we want to do an absolute awesome show again and update you on what things have been going on, the things that Gemma has been excited about and working on over the last few years, and what she's actually, just getting the awesome zone out. So Gemma is an energy alignment coach. I can't speak this morning. And using positive psychology, mindset, and energetics to really kind of, I think, help people. I would describe what you do, Gemma, as like helping people in ways that they don't even realize they need the help in until they start taking action on it. So Gemma Sandwell, welcome. Oh, it's not Gemma Sandwell now, is it?
Yeah, it's still Gemma Sandwell, still using that name for now. Okay. Yeah, that kind of links into the journey that I've been on since our last podcast as well. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you do and some of the differences like since the last podcast, because it's been a journey, right?
Yeah, definitely. So ultimately, it is about aligning you to your most authentic self. And I believe we all come to this planet with our own different styles, different personalities, different strengths, different ways of being. And we'll each have our own aligned mission that we want to achieve with our lives, with our businesses. And I'm here to help you to align to that using these tools of positive psychology, which is more the science side and the neuroscience behind habits, and the latest research around positive psychology, which has some incredible results on businesses. So some of the most, I don't know if listeners know this, but like the most high performing organizations in the world are underpinned by positive psychology practices. Now, this might not, and I say high performing and ethical. So this stuff is not just about well-being. This stuff makes your business really fantastic as well. And I combine that with more of the spiritual side of working with energy, working with the quantum field and doing healing, clearing energy, and understanding who we are as highly sensitives as well, and how we can use that energy of being highly sensitive in our lives and in our businesses. So that has been a combination of, for me, 16 years of studying, of learning, of going through my own experiences to, I had my dream career in corporate, dream career, if you like. I achieved what I wanted to achieve in HR as a leadership coach. And, loved my job, but I was in complete burnout. I left the corporate world and stepped into and built my soul-aligned business, where I've been lucky enough to work with people all over the world, with helping them to align. And through that journey and through those learnings that I've had, which have also included me having like all these levels of growth and awakening, I left my marriage, hence the question about the name at the start. I met my soulmate. I've moved to the sea, like all since we had our last conversation.
Not in the sea, but
not in the sea. I could be a mermaid. I'd be quite happy with that, to be honest. Yeah. Like that would be quite aligned for me. Maybe not this time of year, but yeah, like all of those tools that I've learned and then applied to myself is what has got me to that process. And probably it's about 2 years ago, wasn't it, when we last did a podcast? I wrote out what my dream life would be, and I said, I looked back in my journal the other day, and I'd written, I'm living by the sea with my soulmate, and I have cats and dogs. And at that time, I had a cat, and I thought, maybe I'll live by the sea in like 5 to 10 years' time. And I suddenly realized, hang on, I'm doing it now. And I need to share this message to like this is not only how you achieve amazing energy, but actually if you want to achieve those big dreams and goals and have those ripples on the world, this is how you can do that. And I kind of shortcut that process. I thought this was like a 5 to 10 year goal for me. And then having that sudden realization that I dropped into that in 2 years' time. And it's all just because I got into alignment with my authentic self.
I think when we get into alignment, people underestimate so much what is actually possible. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago, nearly a month ago now. Time flies when you're having fun. But I was at an event in Miami and we were talking about what we want to achieve in the next 18 months. And I was like saying about the different things. And someone that's been on my podcast and a friend of mine, Sasha, like, why are you thinking small? Like, why not like something for, I was saying about different cars and stuff like that. And like, well, why not cars for both you and your wife? Like, rather than just you, like, since you want to get one or the other, like why are you thinking small with this stuff? And until you write these things down, like I've got pictures of the different things that I want to be achieving and really manifesting into my life. Like the universe doesn't know, right? It's in our head. So what do you think's been the secret to getting in alignment for you?
I think it's been understanding like who I am, and almost like we almost have to go through this stage. And sometimes this is feel a bit like yucky. Like we might go into, like I'm sure you experience this with your clients, like we might go into burnout. Something might happen to us that kind of pushes us into that stage. And we have to go through this process of like recreating and redefining who we are. But once we understand who we are, and we can use the tools of positive psychology to help us to get there, and energetics to help us to clear out anything that's not in alignment, but also connect into what our alignment is. So sometimes we don't know. So there might be people here listening, watching, thinking, yeah, but I don't know what that is for me. It's about having that space. So whether you have a coach or not, whether that's me or not, like it's about having that space to understand who you truly are, who you authentically are, what your values are, and then where you want to go with that. So the first step is like, who am I? And then how I then make that happen, how I get into that alignment. And then when the alignment comes, that's when everything else then comes.
So what things show up when you're out of alignment?
Good question. Now, for me, there's kind of a shadow side to this. So like there's a difference between, so there'll be things coming into when you're not in alignment, you don't feel great. Your body will know if you're out of alignment. Because this is the thing, when we know our truth, our body knows that truth. And it's our minds that come in and tell us that's not. So this for me in my earlier days came out as physical illness. So I used to have IBS. I used to get tonsillitis all the time. And that was because I was not in alignment. I was working in London. I was pushing myself through commuting to London, working in London. I was in adrenal fatigue and all of these things that you talk about. And that for me, so that was like that first step of like being out of alignment was health. And then some other things that start to happen as we start to take care of those things, we may feel quite triggered. So this is like really interesting. This is a conversation I've had in my community recently, is like the difference between things in our reality that we don't want because they're not in alignment, and they're just like, so say somebody, there's a client that we're working with and it's very clear that the values are different and they're not the sort of client that we really like long-term want to be working with, doesn't feel aligned, it feels a bit clunky, they're not quite in alignment with our values, versus being like really emotionally triggered. So if we're being emotionally triggered, then that's a gift and that's something that we can work on. That's also showing us we're out of alignment, but that's more of like, here's some ways that you can use this energy for good to get into alignment. If it's just this doesn't quite feel right, this doesn't quite feel in alignment with my values, then that's where we might need to then set a boundary. So it's kind of those differences between those two energies that are showing us where we're out of alignment.
So one of the things that I know we've shared so many conversations about over the years actually is energy and how we protect our own energy. And something that came up in the talk yesterday, I've got a talk speaking about burnout, and one of the things I say is find your tribe. And one of the things I think a lot of people struggle to do, just disconnect from people that drain their energy. What feelings do you get when people are draining your energy?
So it's something that Coral and I called eye drain.
Okay.
So something that we've established recently, and this is kind of caught on now because I thought I was crazy. And then, you speak to your tribe and they're like, yeah, I feel this too. that feeling of like tiredness in your eyes when you've not done anything to really make you feel tired. So this is usually a sign that something's like the energy is like coming out of my eyes. That's a really weird one. I can't fully explain it. Feelings of anxiety. So this is a biggie, actually. If anyone takes anything away from this, like I want you to really take away this point. 99% of the time, what you are feeling is not yours. And I'm going to say that again, 99% of the time, what you're feeling is not yours. So a lot of us are going around saying that we have got mental health issues, that we have got anxiety, and it's actually not. And this was like a huge learning for me, was that my anxiety, it was not anxiety. It may be presenting as anxiety symptoms. It was overwhelm, burnout, and I was literally just full of everyone's energy. So I was going to busy places. Let's say I go to the supermarket and the supermarket's really busy. And as I'm walking around the supermarket, as highly sensitive, we've got lots of open centres in our design, right? So they're being filled with what's around us. So I'd leave the supermarket, or, you know, when I was in London, this would be really intense when I was working there. And it would be like, why am I feeling anxious about this now? What now? What trauma now? I need to go find a therapist. And it wasn't trauma. It wasn't, so I just completely knocked my microphone there.
All good.
It wasn't trauma. It wasn't anxiety. It was just energy. And lockdown was a huge gift. Because, and lots of my clients have said this as well, that in lockdown, they felt amazing. And that's because not only were like away from a lot of that energy, but we were also socially distancing. So the auric field around our body goes out 6 feet. And that was the distance of social distancing. So we weren't getting anyone really in our auras unless, you know, it was those that we lived with. And that made a massive difference. So this was a big aha moment for me, was that it's not anxiety. And this is my concern as well. We've got so many people out there who are just simply not in alignment, and we're labeling it as a mental health issue. And we're telling them it's your fault. You need to get drugs, which is like one of the worst case scenarios for me. You know, you need to take drugs. You need to heal this trauma. You need to get a therapist. You've got depression. You've got anxiety. We're telling them it's theirs, and it's not. They're just out of alignment, and they're just taking on too much energy from everyone else.
One, I think you just found the only benefit of social distancing.
The only, yeah.
It beats all the scientific studies. But some of these things, and this came up yesterday, there was someone that spoke before me about money, and she was very holistic minded about money mindset and financial health. And we were talking about learned behaviors. Do you think some of the anxiety comes as a learned behavior as well?
Yes, it does. So this is where shadow work comes in, to understand how we've learnt that anxiety. So when I say the energy is not yours, sometimes it's picked up or sometimes it's not yours, but it is in your field and it is conditioning. So sometimes it can come from, you know, an over anxious parent who we've taken that on from, or we've taken on the anxiety to respond to something that has happened. Or like this comes into the shadow side, that anxiety is really benefiting us. And this is like where we go deep into that shadow work and we start to uncover that actually, so, you know, let's think about this. You're feeling really anxious. Oh, someone might come and help you. You might get to, you know, eat a bit more chocolate because it makes you feel good. This was one of mine. And actually that anxiety is benefiting you so much that on some level, your body thinks it is safer to have that anxiety than it is to not. But until we do that shadow work to uncover, we don't know, because we would say consciously, we would say, well, of course I don't want anxiety. Like, why would I want that? But on some level, you want it, because this is how the quantum field works, in that everything is an atomic match. So if you're experiencing anxiety, then on some level, you desire that anxiety. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in your reality. So on some level, you have been conditioned that it is safer for you to have anxiety, and it is benefiting you in some way, or in the existential kink term, you're getting off on that anxiety because that is benefiting you in some way.
And this is something that we actually done a podcast on, where you were live coaching me. So
you did. You were very brave. That was awesome.
We'll put that in the show notes. And if anyone wants to hear you doing your actual, implementing your superpower, then it was very beneficial. But as I say, this is something that, because Gemma and I, we go back over half our lives now, which is crazy. Yeah. Since we were like
put the 16. Photos again.
Yeah, exactly.
Photos
since we were
of Ollie somewhere when he was 16.
Playing basketball, going to sixth form together, like so we go back a long way. And one of the things that we've both done, I know, is get into growth mode, but we've had to deal with the shadow side of things, of holding us back, of something which is keeping us safe, but also stopping us from reaching those higher levels. And I know definitely the work that you've done with me has helped me have my most successful year in business ever. And I believe like most successful year in life, because it's allowed me to just truly reach out and come into my own. And I still, like now, I can sense those energies, and like from the different people, the energy they're putting off. It's just being aware of that and know that we're not going to spend much time around those people. I think people find it hard when it's family, but you're still within your own right. This is what I say to people, that we don't have to spend loads of time with them. We can love them because they're family and like give a damn about them. But if we don't feel good around those people, that we can choose the people, right?
You've touched an incredible point around boundaries here. Like boundaries is one of the best ways to get into alignment. And it is ultimately about what feels good, what doesn't feel good. So like you say, it doesn't matter who that person is. If that energetically doesn't feel right, and we do like, and one way that I look at this is if we zoom out. So part of my design is women on the hill. So to take myself out to my hill and zoom out, if you really want to achieve your big dream, vision, your goal for your life and your business, then you're going to have to be really strict on your boundaries. And that may include, I've had family members in the past who I've decided not to see anymore for that reason. Like ultimately, this is bigger than you and your family. And I don't mean to say this in any unkind way to anyone listening, but if you really want to achieve that big dream and goal, where you're going to help thousands, millions maybe of people across the world with your work, then you've got to show up for yourself with those boundaries and protect your energy, because if you don't, you're not going to achieve that mission. And that might sound really, that feels like really harsh as I'm saying that, but it comes from that place of love, of wanting to change the world.
It's the truth though, like people need to hear it. And I think I was having a conversation with one of my mentors yesterday about sometimes we have to have harsh conversations, and we're here as coaches, as therapists, as mentors, whatever we want to be labeled at. But we're here to help people. And to help people, sometimes you're not here to be their friend. So we have to I've had conversations with you over the past. You've had conversations with me, and we've said, well, we need to hear rather than what we want to hear. But even so much so that to have these hard conversations, I think it's a gift to be able to do that. But yesterday I had to speak with someone, and he was saying that he's just feeling really anxious. And I'm like, well, have you done this? Have you done that yet? Well, no one can help you until you help yourself. And you're not going to get out of that state. And do you like feeling anxious? No. Well, you obviously do in some way or another. But I'm doing another course, and really in-depth functional medicine course. Even then, when we go through our screening process, and it's a big part of my own screening process, is this, there's 3 questions at the end linked with your scores with social isolation, with happiness, with like feeling a bigger purpose. And if people, they show highly on those scores, because all the other numbers on the test are like, if you're really feeling negative, it's a 3. But on those ones, you kind of have to reverse it. So if people score low on those, it's a case of, I see things showing up in people's body on blood tests, on functional medicine tests, and we look deeper into it, and they show problems on these last 3 questions, or these last 3 sections. So each section has 5 questions. There's 150 questions in the whole test. So these last 3 sections, 15 questions. And we have to refer out, because we can look at blood tests and all these different things and things showing up, but it's not a physical thing that's going on. It's a psychological thing. And then once they get that purpose, start getting that drive, and have a little bit of, shall we say, therapy or coaching or mentoring, whatever we want to say, then we can work on the physical stuff. But I think just truly feel that the psychological aspect, as you say, that once we start getting our energy right, things start working in our body.
You've just reminded me of something that we did together. Do you remember the time I was measuring my blood sugar levels? And what I found was a correlation between energy and blood sugar levels. Mm-hmm. And I actually saw a study the other day about monks that brought this to life for me. And I can't remember the exact study. I'm sure we can find the reference somewhere, people, but that it showed that monks have high levels of diabetes. And when they dug into why that was, it was because so much forgiveness, compassion is taught to these monks that they don't have boundaries and they have a lot of repressed anger. And that repressed anger was causing diabetes. And this is what you and I found in that working together, was that when I went to places and I didn't protect my energy and I didn't have boundaries, or I said yes where I should have said no, my blood sugar was spiking every day. So we've actually kind of done an experiment on that, haven't we? I just thought kind of between us, just so happened that was what happened. So like this stuff shows up either way. Like you say, it shows up in the health side when there's a psychological aspect or an energy aspect. And it shows up in the energy when there's a health aspect and vice versa. So this stuff is all intertwined and
sort of all linked, and they work synergistically. And it's one of the frustrations I have with Western medicine. Like Western medicine is great for emergencies and it's great for certain things. But when we actually look, or conventional medicine, shall we say, rather than interventional medicine, rather than saying Western medicine, is that we're not looking at the body as a whole in conventional medicine. The mind impacts the body. The brain is this control room that is going to send signals from the hypothalamus to pituitary and so on to signal hormones, to signal digestion, to signal enzymatic reactions. And if we don't have good cellular health and so on, we don't have good tissue health, and then don't have good organ health and don't have good organ systems, and then become healthy humans. So when we don't look at the body from mind and body, we look at just the body, or we look at one single system. Like you look at the joints, or you look at maybe like nephrology, you look at the kidneys on their own, or you look at the cardiovascular system on its own. What is the actual input? And I think getting a bit deeper in the energetic side of things is like, we're more than just this vessel that we're in. So it's, where does that control come from? Like, where is the origin of like our actions? And
that's a very deep question.
Yeah. Like,
where is the origin?
You're not going to necessarily know the answer, but just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So the first thing that springs to mind with this is the quantum mechanics side. So like everything is like, we are energy and we were created from energy. And when you take that, when you strip that all back to basics, and it's not very basic, is it, quantum mechanics, but literally atoms bond to atoms. It's all it is. So when you, and I can't quite remember what the question was, but like the origin. I don't know
if there was one. It was just what your view on it.
So atoms bond to atoms. And this is kind of so yes, like I've got the positive psychology angle in a lot of the work I do, but also quantum physics, which is like also a scientific element to this. And so if we want to manifest, if we want to just anything in our reality, if we like, let's use manifestation as an example, because this also describes how we come into being in our lives, come into being in our problems in our lives and the joyful things in our lives. I want to manifest a crystal that I would really desire, just as an example. I have to become an atomic match for this crystal for it to appear in my world from a quantum perspective, okay? So something in me has to, or let's use the example of a partner, right? So when I met Coral, I was in like my highest vibrational state of myself, okay? So we want to manifest a partner, and that partner has specific qualities. Now, that partner can't come into our life unless we are a vibrational match for it, because everything in our reality is a vibrational match. So any triggers, anyone that we find annoying, like anything in our reality is because we're a vibrational match. So to attract that partner, we have to become a vibrational match. So this is a little tip to like quantum love manifesting. If anyone wants to do this, like if you write out the qualities that you want in that partner, you embody those yourself, then energetically the universe can't not deliver you that, because your atoms in your body become a vibration for that love, that pleasure, like whatever that might be. And the universe has to deliver it to you, because that's how atoms work. Their atoms will bond to your atoms. this crystal will bond to me if I put out intentions enough to bring this crystal to me, because I'm then vibrating at the same level that brings that into my reality. So that is like fundamentally what sits under everything. So from like a health perspective, and this is like where some of the work like Bruce Lipton comes in, doesn't it, as well? Like anything that's going on with your health has been created somewhere through your thoughts and the atoms that are vibrating in your body. Otherwise it wouldn't be in your reality.
Yeah, and it's when you look into like physiology books and you see this like, I can't remember what they actually call the diagram of like life, and there's atoms become molecules, become macro molecules, become cells, and then it goes on to what I was saying with like cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, organisms. Then there's population and communities. But the first recognized form of life is your cell that can actually withstand itself, but it needs atoms and molecules and macromolecules to actually function. So if we have healthy vibrations in our atoms, or whatever we have vibration wise in our atoms, we're going to attract that to come along more, right? So it's really powerful, right? We could go on about this for hours and hours. Tell the listeners and viewers, if they're watching the video, first off, where they could get hold of you. And then also, I know you've got something that you're planning, you're launching. It would be awesome if you could just tell the people about that.
Yeah, thank you. So the first easiest way to contact me is at I am Gemma Sandwell on Instagram. You can also head to my website, which is just gemmasandwell.com. And yeah, I'm being a little bit of a rebel and I'm doing something different in a couple of weeks' time. I am a bit of a rebel and I've decided to do a social movement course. So it's going to be a 3-day soulfully aligned program, which you can pay what you like. I've had some incredible people already join. It's only been live 24 hours at the time of recording this podcast. So the spots may even be gone when the time this goes live. And you're also paying it forward. So you're not just paying for you, you're paying for someone else to attend. And that has incredible benefits on the mirror neurons in your brain. So you're going to get benefits before we've even started. And throughout this program, we're going to be doing quantum breath work to clear and align your energy, shift any energy in your body. We're going to go deep into the energetics around being highly sensitive and your sensitive superpowers, and deep into the neuroscience of positive psychology and how that how positive psychology can help your business to absolutely flourish and thrive. And I'm also opening up my one-to-one spots for the new year as well, because I've been feeling this deeper, been doing lots of programs, and I'm feeling this deeper call to work with people on a deeper basis and give them box of support and my one-to-one coaching. So I'm an accredited coach as well. So yeah. That's
awesome. Is that all on your website and social media?
Yes. So the one-to-one coaching is on an application basis at the moment, which you can apply to a discovery call through my website. And to sign up for the 3-day social movement course is on the link in my bio and through the header on my website as well.
Sweet. Well, Gemma, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. No doubt we'll give it a few more months and then we'll have another.
Yeah, let's do part 2 because we always have so much more to talk about.
It'll be like part 3, part 4. Let's just keep doing podcasts because we love chatting and hopefully people can benefit from the information. So thank you for being here and being a guest.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome as always.
Thank you.